Hi, we are live. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CALCC COVID-19 series, the law series, where we get our friends, the legal experts around the world to actually explain to us what is the impact and what are the implications of the COVID-19 towards the country, the community, and also the legal industry specifically. Right. Today we have online with us a gentleman, a Malaysian, but he has vast experience working in Beijing in China. His name is Fung. Hi, Will.
Hi.
Hi. Great to have you here. And we also have another Malaysian lawyer. Her name is Lee Pei Wen. Hi,
Hi.
Pei Wen.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hi. So how's everybody? Okay, all staying home.
Yeah.
MCO, right? MCO, right?
To you, Dato.
Yeah, good evening to everybody. Now, we'll take maybe a few minutes usually for the viewers to start coming in. For those who just join us, welcome to a CALCC legal series where we discuss about the COVID-19 as well as legal implications to the community as well as legal industry. So we have more and more people joining us now. If you are watching us live now, thank you so much. And please share this live discussion, because today is going to be very interesting. We're going to discuss specifically in relation to a situation in Beijing in China. For the friends who just joined us, I'd like you to actually put a like or just put in a comments column, and so that we know you are here. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Today is a Monday night. So I'd like to see more and more friends joining us. Please share out this live stream. All right. More and more, and I'd like to say that at the same time we are streaming to Facebook. We are also streaming this to the YouTube channel for CALCC Malaysia. So this is the first try. Hey, someone say morning. Okay, maybe in a different region. Okay, so we are about 3 minutes from the start. Now we will commence. We'll start with our discussion. I think first of all, Will, I think please tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you. I've heard so much about you, but for the benefit of the viewers on the screen watching us live now, as well as those will be watching later, perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself and say hello to everybody. Will.
Thank you, Dato, and thank you for China ASEAN Legal Cooperation Center for inviting me. It's my honor, indeed a privilege. Well, my name is Fung, a Malaysian, not Malaysia. So started my practice way back in 2001, and towards the middle of 2006, I sort of got myself a placement in Beijing in China. That is barely 2 years before Olympics. So since then till now, no regrets. So I've been there for about 14 years. I'm working with a Chinese law firm, one of the pioneer. I mean, in my firm, I'm the first foreign counsel. So until now, the only I would like to presume the only Chinese, the only foreign partners in Grandall Law Firm. So yep.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Hi. Pei Wen, I'd like to you to say hello to the viewers, and where are you from, and also what are you working on currently.
Hi everyone. I'm a Malaysian lawyer practicing in Malaysia. Fourth year legal associates. Previously been practicing in a law firm called Gun Partnership, specializing in constructions law. And I've just recently resigned because I want to focus on my startup and also to set up a legal firm which is more heavily reliance on technology So affirm that like we don't need a big space and staff and overheads where we can just do things in a more economical way.
Okay, so thanks, Fayon. Now we just go through some comments. I think looks like Will got a lot of fans. Kenneth Phoenix Kwa say hi Will, hi Rain. Hi. And we have Richard Tay say hi Will Fung, and we have Chua Kim Lan. Hi, say hi Will. Okay, so I think as more and more people joining us, welcome to the another series. We're very happy to have all anak Malaysia here. But I think with Will's experience in Beijing for more than 10 years, he's there, on the ground. I think it is a session that I'm truly looking forward to. All right, so I think we'll start off by asking Will. I think perhaps this is not an easy question. Do you know how many Malaysian companies are there in Beijing?
Well, good question. Actually, Dato, I'm wearing another hat. I'm the current chairman of the Malaysian Chamber of Commerce and Industry in China. So, having said that, we tend to work closely with Malaysian agencies, government agencies, and work especially very closely with the Embassy of Malaysia in Beijing. So these questions, every now and then, it will pop up. Our MIDA head, meeting chief, Matrade will ask us, do you actually know how many Malaysian companies right now in China, the entire China? Last year, towards the end of last year, I did ask my teammate, my colleagues, do a research. And we found out that it's not 100% Malaysian companies. So what happened in China is that you've got these online SSM equivalent search tools. And once you type in certain keywords, for this example, we type in Malaysia or Malaysians. So it pops out, and from a research outcome, it shows that we have about 6,000 over Malaysia or Malaysian connected entities, legal entities. As insofar as how many Malaysian companies operating in China right now, there's no a concluded figure because a lot of companies, they enter into China via a lot of offshore holding legal entity, for example, via Hong Kong or via Singapore. So this is for obvious reason, for tax planning purposes, especially the withholding tax with between China and Hong Kong, for example, and Singapore is 5% withholding tax. So Malaysia remain at about 10%. So it's for these kind of tax planning purposes, they choose to enter China via these two jurisdictions.
So, from your observation, what are the biggest challenges you have seen in those companies and the measures they've taken to fight this COVID-19? Because I think as of today, what we see is that the fight against COVID-19 is almost at the tail end for China. It's very stable now, whereas other countries the numbers in other countries are picking up. So China is literally in front of us in terms of the fight of COVID. So what have you seen what are the biggest challenges in this company?
It's $1 million question, Dato.
So, yes, that's why we ask you here.
Everyone's the same. Of course, in my capacity first as a legal counsel, we do get some inquiries on how to deal with it, especially pertaining to employment, issues, and of course contractual obligations, performance of contract. So all these things immediately, once the Chinese New Year ended, and once we started into middle of February, quite a fair bit of inquiries coming in, and of course. By then, we've got a lot. We focus on whether force majeure clause is applicable to this kind of situation, and it's based on case to case specific. So that is one part of it. But insofar as how the Malaysian companies in China is coping with it, I believe right now the COVID-19 is not over. It's not. It's still quite a distance. So throughout the past few weeks, I've been in constant contact with my clients, as well as our chamber, our chamber members, corporate members, and so. And right till yesterday, I sort of got hold with one CEO of a very large company, automobile industry, that has about 18,000 staff. So we chat a little bit about how you guys are coping. There are a lot of uncertainties, truth be told. There are a lot of uncertainties, and of course they're trying their best to minimize the impact, and try to plan what are the things that they within organizations think is appropriate, catering not a short distance. For all we know, we'll be looking at 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. So long as, insofar as the immunity, the vaccine to cure COVID-19 is not out. So there's a lot of uncertainties, a lot of, not to say they don't know the direction, but it depends on the market sort of adapting to this post-COVID-19 situation. I will share a little bit later on some of the things that I've learned. I'm actually also learning from how the thought process of these CEOs and corporate captains, they view this and try to plan in advance. Perhaps we'll share a little bit more later.
I see, sure. So, Pei Wen, from your observation, how do you think that the Malaysian, especially the small, medium enterprises, the SME, coping with this COVID-19 pandemic?
From what I've observed, initially during maybe the first 2 weeks, everyone's still in the shock and panic stage, and because a lot of SMEs in Malaysia are not equipped with online businesses and they are not so tech savvy, so it took them. I think it should be quite fast, considering the situation here in Malaysia. We are not as advanced and progressive compared to China. So they actually took up e-commerce quite fast. I've seen some of my friends, they have picked up they have a shop, F&B shop or something. So they picking up quite fast. They go on boards on e-commerce and started selling things online and also through friends and through deliveries. And I have also seen some small time kopitiam stores or market vendors. All these people, they try to go on boards on the e-commerce platforms and started selling their stuff there. Yeah.
Okay. How about the nature of the companies that they really cannot go online? For example, construction. I let Pei Wen answer this question, but later we'll come to Will, because China is big with construction. But Pei Wen, what do you think about these companies?
For this company, there's really nothing much they can do at the moment, because it is something that it's happened so sudden that they don't have time to plan. But what they need to do now is to look into their contracts, because most construction contracts allow you for extension of time. So they need to apply extension of time as soon as possible, because most of the contracts have a time limit. So once they send their notification for extension of time, then the SO, supervising intendant SO, should review the notice of extension of time and based on the situations and also the contractual terms, to grant them the extension of time to complete the projects. But one thing that the contractors have to take note is, although they are entitled for extension of time, they may or may not, but in this case, most likely they are entitled for extension of time. So extension of time doesn't mean that they can get loss and expense automatically. So when they apply for extension of time, they should also look into the contractual clause that entitle them for the loss and expense and try to carve their notice to fit into the four corners of the contracts.
Sure. Now, before I go to Will, asking the similar question about construction, let me just acknowledge the friends who have just joined us. Shirley, say hi, Will. I think Will has got a lot of fans here. Then we have William Tan. Hello, guys. Hi, Will. Hi, Rain. Hi. And we have Isaac Hall. Isaac is a movie director. Hello, hi, Isaac. So you're on screen now. Patricia, great, Paywan, to see your passion driving on. Thanks for sharing. And then this is a question. Is there many Malaysians in Beijing? This one I let Will to answer this. And yes, I agree with Will. Situation is fluid. And how is our Bangla situation? Is it covered thing? Okay, this one we'll take the situation separately in a moment. And Shugan Raman say hi, Paywan. Great. Okay, so yeah, before we go to the serious question, Will, is there a statistics that how many Malaysians in Beijing?
Yeah.
Oh, you know that? Okay.
In Beijing right now, we have approximately 3,000 individual Malaysians. That would include all the spouses and dependents, their kids, their children, and also including the students studying in Beijing right now, Malaysian students. Yeah.
Right. It's about 3,000.
3,000 plus minus, yeah.
Now I go back to the question just now where, how about the nature of the company that cannot go online, for example, the construction industry. So what do you see in Beijing during this COVID pandemic that, what's going on in the construction industry?
Okay, this is very interesting. Yeah? So what we see is, in fact, I'm trying to introduce a quotient. So what happened is in the past, 3 decades or so, very often we heard about this, IQ, intelligence quotient, and then it moves on to emotional EQ, emotional quotient, and in the past, especially since this pandemic happened, there is this term. They term it as the adversity quotient. Adversity quotient, it means the ability to adapt.
Whoops, looks like the line, we have some issue. We have just lost Will. He was saying, explaining something. It's okay. I think we'll give it some time. All right, he's back. Hi, Will.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
We miss you. Right. You're saying
sorry
yes.
About it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was mentioning the AQ. So you see what happened is right after the pandemic happened, there are actually a lot of companies. Let's start off with the Chinese companies, especially the SOEs. At the time, towards end of January, when the pandemic was at its peak in Hubei, in Wuhan province, everything locked down. Okay, and for information, the lockdown concept and the Malaysia MCO concept is totally different. Oh, so I started to receive a lot of requests, a lot of appeal at that time. It's all about saving lives, and a lot of my through my clients or through my network and my chamber activities, there a lot of them. They were asking me whether Malaysia do we have a PPE, do we have in particularly mask, surgical mask or whatever, So at the time, in the middle of Chinese New Year, so we try to help. Give a call here and there, but unfortunately, Malaysia, we've got almost, unheard of those PPE manufacturer. What we have is, of course, surgical gloves. That's the only thing. And we, of course, very quickly we send them batches by batches, in amounts of in millions,
Yes.
via a lot of charity organization and chamber of commerce, things like that, as a matter of goodwill. So we send it over, and this thing sort of persists for about 1 or 2 weeks later. 1 or 2 weeks, when middle of February comes. So once the situation in China sort of get contained, they sort of flatten the curve, and miraculously, what happened is those companies that initially approached me, now they're asking me, hey, look, I've got, I know of these companies that they convert their production capacity, the manufacturing capabilities into manufacturing PPE products. One of them is like the, Zhongji, the China Heavy Machineries, as one of the big SOEs, Fortune 500. So at first, they approached me, and then subsequently, they said now they are capable in doing this. So I was thinking to myself, I said, my goodness, within such a short period of time. And at that time, I believe newspapers has been reported that, companies like BYD, car manufacturer, BRT, a lot more, all these companies, they start to venture into PPE production. So what does that tell us? Is that the businesses or the businessman in China is very adaptable to changes. So they can smell, and within the next 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, they believe that the automobile industry is going to drop tremendously. For example, BYD. So they say, instead of, since we cannot produce anything, instead of sitting idle, why don't we think of something? So this is one aspect that they can make changes very fast. So this gives me a lot of inspiration, and I've learned a lot, throughout this process from them. And right now, and once Malaysia and the other world sort of we spiked, in numbers of infected COVID-19 tested positive cases, and turned around. It was the all these initial companies that needed help. They needed help. At first, I believe they were thinking about buying, about purchase, and to carry out their CSR, corporate responsibility duty, to give it out as the donation. But it did not. It's not sustainable for long if you just keep on, doing your role in giving out something for free, pro bono. But instead of doing that, they say, why don't they do something, make a quick change? I'm not sure about Malaysia. I believe some of the companies are trying to do this, and this is something, one little aspect that I'm inspired, and I think Malaysian businesses can learn from that in a way.
So at this moment, are these companies or factories open for businesses in Beijing at this moment?
Okay, China is huge. So what happened in Beijing is a lot of companies, they still do not quite encourage 100% to resume work. For example, my law firm, we do not encourage, because we're in the middle of a CBD, as a Chaoyang district. It happened that 4 days ago it was declared a red area.
4 days ago.
Because of the Chaoyang district CBD, 4 days ago, because of some imported cases, and the cluster spread it, so was declared. And well, even before that, we are strongly encouraged to work from home. If there is no absolute necessity, do not get into office. And this is just for example, my law firm. And my law firm have in Beijing itself, we've got 300 over staff, people. So we sort of try to maintain about 30%, 25 to 30% workforce. So
I
of
see.
course the law did not mandate that you cannot, you cannot. But there was a guideline that says that they encourage not to go over 50%, and all depends on the building management and all the xiaoxu, the area, the community area, the guidance from the government. So it's based on scientific formula, because we are considered not an essential industry. But I also
Right.
believe that there are some essential services industry. Of course, they are resuming in full fledged right now, more or less.
I see.
This is Beijing. Yeah.
You're saying that the workforce of maybe 20, 30, or max 50%. So do you do by way of rotation, or how does it work? For example, in your firm, do you arrange a schedule for them, or you leave it up to them to come in and at what kind of sequence?
Okay. So what happened is, as a law firm, legal service provider, so you've got two aspects. One is the litigators, that they have to go to court, right? And the other group of practitioners, they are non-litigation lawyers, they're corporate lawyers. So for the litigators, what happened in China is that within a very short period of time, early February, there was some hearings, being conducted and resumed, and they all did it online. They did it online, and I believe this is something that the Malaysian courts has also implemented. The other day, I happened to go on the Court of Appeal side and heard, and I was very impressed. Was very impressed about this fast adaptation change. So this is quite similar in China. It had happened. And then for the corporate lawyers, so in China, we don't have such thing as a bread and butter work. It's like Malaysia, conveyancing lawyers. We don't quite have such things. So a lot of our work is based on project basis and transactional work nature. So having said that, of course, it affects our normal operation, because what happened is, once you get a project, you may have to go to a client's place, or the target's place, if let's say it's acquisition, to carry out due diligence, things like that. So, but with this thing happening, it sort of restrict our movement. So it can be quite difficult. So we can only extract data from the VDR, virtual data room, and conducting interviews, management interviews via online or things like this. Zoom is still not that popular in China, but we've got a Tencent, Tencent 会议. So there are a lot of tools, and just for information, it's also a follow up on what just now I've expressed. A quick change, quick adaptation. So what happened was, 2 weeks after the peak of COVID-19 happened in China, early February, our firm came to a consensus that we have to invest in a software that could help the lawyers carry on with their day-to-day operation. So this software has a conflict search, has the it's new to us. It's completely new software that's being commissioned by a firm to an IT company to develop it within, I think, 7 days. Within 7 days, and have all these features. And what you could think of as a practitioner, what do you need to help you to work from home? So this is very challenging and an eye opener to me. So we within a very short period of time. So this is something that I believe there are so many tools available right now,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
and I can see that in a special mention to Dato Teh, Dato
mhm,
Teh, you did not keep yourself idle, but you keep yourself busy by doing this kind of engagement,
mm,
by doing virtual dialogues and sharing to learn from different countries, lawyers from different areas, and I believe that the amount of clients, new clients that you get from having this appearance is
mhm.
tremendous. I believe because I've been following you, since day
Oh,
one,
thank you.
and
Thank you.
you
Yeah,
are a good role model
thank
to
you.
many Malaysian practitioners, I would say. So, well, keep it up, keep it up. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. In terms of the capability, you mentioned something that really struck me because you say that the speed of the Chinese company to actually adapt to the situation is so fast. When the crisis happened, then they change it so fast, and they can turn things around in a matter of weeks, and that they are producing something else. So I'd like to ask Pei Wen, what's your view about this in relation to Malaysian companies? Do you see that are we adapting fast enough, or for example, law firms or any other manufacturers or any other businesses?
I can't speak much for other businesses in Malaysia, but
Mm-hmm.
I think law firms they are trying because this is something very new to us, and as we all know, law firms in Malaysia are quite traditional, and we are a bit oh, we lost view again. Okay, I think we'll just continue with this first.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so we are majority of us are quite resistant to change and technologies, but I think this MCO and extended MCO is a good opportunities for us to learn the technologies and to improve our technology skills and try to use technology to help us in our day-to-day job. So maybe next time in future, law firms can consider to allow their employees to work remotely.
Mm-hmm. I see,
Yeah.
I see. So apart from the observation on the corporates, would you also share with us on how the law firms coping with the COVID-19 and how it affects the law firm businesses generally in Beijing? So this one I'd like to ask Will this question. How's the situation of the law firm? For example, how do you remunerate your associates? Is there any pay cuts or cut-offs or any freezing of bonuses like this? How to manage the situation in Beijing?
Okay, in my firm, we have yet to come up with a sort of plan. We've got to observe. We've got to observe. But I believe generally for Chinese firms or Chinese companies, to a large extent, we do save for rainy days. That means we do have some
Mm,
coffers.
mm, mm,
As in so far, how deep is our pocket, the coffers? It varies from firms to firms. So I
I
believe
see.
when this kind of situation happens, I
Mm-hmm.
think to some extent law firms can be considered affected, but not to great extent.
Mm,
Why do I say that?
mm,
When times are bad, you
mm,
get a lot of dispute, arbitration, litigation, or letter of demand sending here and there. So this aspect of business, I think, escalated tremendously. So in our complete search system every day, what I see is I would think about 80%. 80% now, 80% is about dispute resolution kind of nature of work coming in. For non-dispute work, so it's getting less and less. For now, it's obvious, it makes sense. So this is I believe the same thing is being experienced in Malaysia as well. But of course, the next issue is how's the collection? How's the collection? And the payment coming in, whether they do come in on time, things like that. That uncertain. I believe yes, definitely it will impact on our cash flow. Of course, they're talking about so many lawyers that that's being affected. So this is one aspect, and well,
Okay. Is it because the firms in China is built based on a lot of the firms based on 合伙制 means like a chamber style, as opposed to a 公司制 where the company pays a salary to the employees. Because in Malaysia, I think the struggle of the law firms at this moment is having to pay the overhead. Overhead is the largest portion of any service-based industry like law firms, accounting firms. So we have spoken to a few friends from China in the past few days, and they say the impact is not that huge in China. So what would be the contributing factor? Is it because of the structure, or is there any other factors?
Yeah, Dato, the legal landscape in China, of course, is very different from Malaysia. So Malaysia, you have about I'm not sure what's the latest figure, about 20,000 practitioners.
Yes, correct. About 20,000 in Peninsula.
Thereabouts. Okay. Yeah. So in China, so we have close to about 300,000 legal practitioners, out of which, of course, the majority of them are based in the first-tier cities. First tiers meaning Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou. So these are cities that have a lot more lawyers, right? So so what happened is a lot of companies they have a different system, remuneration or package or salary of as a practitioner. You know that Malaysia by convention we engage in a lockstep kind of stuff, and then that of course the senior partners, the equity partners have to bear the operating expenses and costs to finance the lawyers. So on this topic, last night I just WhatsApp. I received a text from a managing partner of a very big law firm in Malaysia. So I said, so how are you guys coping? So he said that, well, they believe in these conventional sort of big law firms. They are fairly conservative overall. So they do save for rainy days. And you've got to imagine they've got to support paying salary for, I don't know, 50 lawyers, 80 lawyers, 100, more than 100 lawyers, those kind of a firm. So, but the coffers will dry up. So I don't know on average how long the coffer could last. So I dare to make a sort of a very bold guess. I would think between 3 months. 3 months is still fairly okay, but if assuming this lockdown and you've got absolutely no income at all beyond 3 months, what is going to happen? So when that happened, well, then maybe can consider like some of the the system that have been used by Chinese firm per se. So of course, some firms, our firms is of course it depends. Our firm is very huge. We've got 36 offices there, but 36 offices across China. But every sort of office, they've got their financial independence. Okay, they've got a financial independence in how they manage their stuff. So we've got a base salary for different tier of lawyers. Over and above, then we've got a bonus. Bonus, of course, it depends on team performance. It goes by team. So having said that, so we always believe that you shouldn't have a very overly high sort of a base salary. And this thing, of course, you've got to look at what is a comfortable level. What is a comfortable level? So we do not go from a very very high skill, and then with bonus built in or whatever, right at the beginning. But everything is based on performance. So perhaps this concept is something that the Malaysian law firm could think about it. And this is very much based on the American concept. The American business across the board is always based on performance based. If you can't perform, you're out. If you can't perform, you don't get this kind of package. And the compensation is up and down. But Malaysia is different. From Malaysia and UK, the conventional sort of traditional jurisdictions, once a partner's number of years in practice, the level go higher, and their salary, their package will never drop. It's not so much based on the performance, but it's based on seniority. So this is something that of course, when I mention these kind of things, there are a lot of partners, equity partners, is going to curse me and say, "Well, you shouldn't let us have these kind of ideas." But to me personally, I think this is a fair approach. So regardless whether how senior or how expert you are in certain field, but the moment you get lazy, you get a little bit of fall into your comfort zone, and you no longer have the kind of drive, you shouldn't fetch that kind of package. This will give a lot of motivation to the younger partners, younger lawyers, to go all the way, to go the extra mile, because they know that at the end of the day, whatever that they have contributed, they will get rewarded accordingly. So please, for those hearing live, we have been in 20 years in practice. Right now you're at that level, at the boss's level, so don't whack me for sharing this. But I believe in fact based on performance.
Yeah, I think you make a very valid point where I think at that level you still have to contribute. That is you have to justify the kind of package you are getting. Otherwise, if you start to slow down, but yet you want to maintain that package and forcing the more junior ones to work the long hours, I think that's the issue. And that is a situation that we see at this moment in Malaysia. Perhaps due to this reason, a lot of young lawyers are actually coming out and start their own. So suddenly we see a lot of young startups and they refuse to climb the corporate ladder, so to speak. So they rather go and start up their own in a smaller setups. Do you see that scenario in Malaysia, Pavan?
Yeah, I definitely see that because I think the mindset of the young lawyers nowadays are very, very different. We prefer autonomy, like to be able to decide what time we want to work, when we want to work, rather than 9 to 5 schedules that for us, we think as long as we get the work done, then that's fine. So we don't really like being micromanaged by because we have a more traditional kind of system, and also the remunerations. As we all know, the lawyers' remunerations in Malaysia is one of the lowest in the regions, but we are actually very, very good lawyers. So I guess that's also the reason. But I guess we cannot blame the bosses because our fees is also one of the lowest in the region. So to be fair, to be fair to them. So I guess because of the different mindset compared to last time, that's why a lot of lawyers are coming out, setting up their firms with people who are more like-minded.
I see. But with this COVID-19 pandemic coming in now, What do you see about the future of this legal industry? What kind of impact? Is it positive changes, or we will have negative changes for a long period of time? Will?
There is one observation that I think is applicable to a lot of industries, not just restricted to legal industry. So let me give you a few examples. One of the largest tech companies in China right now, they haven't gone listed, is Huawei. Everybody knows about Huawei, right? Okay.
Yes.
So Huawei Technologies, very interesting. Ren Zhenfei, the founder. So everybody thought the founder is the boss, but he's not, So Ren Zhenfei is only having less than 1% shares in Huawei. And people will ask, so who owns Huawei? What about the other 99%? Who owns them? So if you go and Google search and go Baidu search, you come to, of course, a non-conclusive because it's private company. So in fact, they have a room, a special room that a register of shareholders. So allegedly, someone that have been to Huawei and visited that, they say, oh my goodness. So that the 10 volume of books, register of members, the owners, the number of owners, is more than 80,000 individuals. So this is one example. Next, the second example is how the Alibaba, the model. So Alibaba model is that Jack Ma, of course everybody aspire to be Jack Ma, and how he managed to create a team, started from 18 Luhan, 18 of them, and today to more than, I believe is more than 400 billion USD market cap, one of the largest companies in the world. But when you study at the structure, shareholding structure, even before they went public. So they talk about partnerships. This was way before 2014, yeah? 2014, they went listing in New York Stock Exchange. So way before that. So in the past 10 years, what I'm trying to share an idea is that a lot of Chinese businesses, a lot of models now, the relationship between employer and employee is getting very, very, very thin. So, just for example, Paywen. Why Paywen sort of decided, she's young, dynamic, and she's exposed. And why would she want to, come up? Because she wants certain flexibility, and she understands by coming up, you no longer have the kind of a financial guarantee. You no longer have the kind of you're guaranteed this X amount of money every month, and you can plan. But she understands one thing: if I'm willing to go the extra mile, I will be compensated accordingly. If I decide to stay at my comfort zone, decide to be lackadaisical, take it easy, tidak apa attitude, then of course you cannot attain that kind of financial reward that you wished for. So it's a fair game. So for legal profession, for a lot of other industries, maybe this is one idea that we can look into it for companies. Right now, a lot of SMEs, they're worried that government is coming up with some subsidy, right? And that is companies that earn for employees that earn below 4,000, something like that. You get subsidized. But how about the rest? So there's also a cap or how many employees that government could subsidize. So what about the rest? So right now, I think a lot of bosses, they are thinking and saying, okay, what should I do? You know, I've spent 30 years build up my business. Do I just let it wrap it up like that in this manner? Perhaps spend some time. Try to study, real cases. Go online. Go to YouTube. I don't know whether YouTube, but in China nowadays, no one talks about wanting to be your employee for life. But they will say, okay, as per market value, for example, 4 years standing PQE lawyer practitioner in a large law firm, you'll be getting like something like 4 years, maybe 400, 500, half a million, 400,000 yuan package, 400,000 package per year. Then of course, the basic salary will be there. You don't expect to every year. I give you another top up another 100,000 up to 1 million or whatever. No, there's not going to be such thing. So it's straight deal. You say if you can perform, create your own formula. If you achieve this kind of workload, how many billable hours, collections, what is the package that you can expect? This is for legal service provider, and for other companies, for sales. Everybody would want to have certain kind of flexibility and the sense of ownership. So this is something that I think Malaysia entrepreneurs, Malaysia, especially the Chinese manpower, they just 舍不得啊, can't willing to part with it, and are you willing to explore the options of coming up with a ESOP plan, employee stock option. So these are the things that in our day-to-day work, even companies just new startup or whatever, we already start to help them to devise this kind of structure. So I believe Malaysia, some of the companies are practicing it, but for traditional, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, long legacy are inherited from a few generations ago, they come back to part with it. So this is an idea. I don't know whether there are any business bosses, that is in their 50s, 60s now, whether you hear this model. And let me just tell you, of course, you're aware of the advantages. Business, when you grow to certain size and you try to capture certain market share, there is a limit of one person can do. And then the sales guy, the guys that you train, since day one, they're with you. Well, loyalty. That happened for those born in the 50s and 60s, to some extent the 70s. And you tell those born in the 80s, the millennial, the X generation, XYZ, right? XYZ. You tell them, if you work with me for 15 years, I'm going to guarantee this and that. Do you think they've got a patience to wait? I don't know. But if you tell them, give them a KPI. Tell them that what if you can break through, this KPI, what is the kind of compensation that you will get, not as an employee, but as a partner. Everybody grows the pie larger, rather than you're worried that you do not, as a boss, you're worried that you might share these resources with this guy. This guy is very dynamic. Whether after he learn all the trades, all the ropes of the trades, he will go and set our competition and fight, against me. So this is why Malaysian SMEs will remain SMEs if we do not have this kind of mindset, even for the next 50 years.
Right. Okay. So I will just bring through few comments and perhaps some questions from the viewers now. Let me just click on this. SJ will say, hi Will, hi Paven. Wow, Paven looks pretty tonight. All right. Eugene Fu, Paven looks pretty every night. Okay. Okay, everybody's having a lot of fun. Beijing light not steady. Now not an issue anymore. Patricia says, I give you some time to reconnect. This is when I think the line dropped a moment ago. Not an issue at this moment now. Hi, Will. You are back to Beijing already? Who else? You have a lot of friends and fans. Will, Jose. Okay. I see Wai Ong. I think that's what he's saying. And Will is at CBD Chaoyang Zone 1. Will, young and talented lawyer from CY Ong. We have a lot of comments today. Well, it seems like more default will be coming, and ultimately legal firms and banks will be involved. Yeah, perhaps this is from William Ho. Hi William. This is a bit long. Perhaps we just say, hi Will. Thanks for the sharing, and I have a question in response to the observation in China. Does this also mean that the regulatory body, application system, and licensing process, example, change of business scope of from manufacturing to car to PPE, M&A, are fluid for approval in such a short time span? I know a few small consulting firm, travel company in China venturing into production of face masks under the same entity. But how, in terms of compliance, hope to hear your view on this. I think, yes, I think Bill, would you like to take this question about how they can change so fast?
Okay, this is a special time, unprecedented. So special time, special measures or leeways are allowable. So in China, so there's a legal maxim. So in general, so what is not prohibited is deemed permitted. If there are, I've got some friends, in practitioners in Malaysia that actually invited them. I don't know whether they're in. If you're a regulator in a securities commission, in Bank Negara, an enforcement agency. So there is one small appeal that I'd like to share it up. In your capacity as a regulator, so whether this maxim applies in the Malaysian context. Things that are not prohibited is deemed permitted. So just now, Eng, I saw the Jennifer Eng, you asked this question within such a short time, whether you're worried about compliance issue. So you have witnessed everybody change, from it doesn't matter, you're a tire manufacturer, you're this and that, and then suddenly, for within a short 1-2 weeks time, you change to become a PPE manufacturer and supplier. So that's why very quickly the enforcement authority, they try to put a stop. 31st of March, if I remember correctly. So with middle of the night, just before 1st of April, they put a stop. They say now, in order to protect the quality, because you're talking about PPE that protects the frontliners.
Yes.
If we do not have this kind of control, it's going to, affect and maybe put risk to all these frontliners. So you see how they react. They let it go first. They let it go, but when things becomes very serious, they put a stop. So in a Malaysian context, what happened is generally we are very law-abiding citizens. We are lacking by comparison with the Chinese. I'm talking across the board. I may not be right. The capabilities, the ability to adapt to changes, their mindset. Why? because the legal environment allows them to be creative. We are talking about livelihood. We have to allow business to step forward and do things that, perhaps it works. Don't a bit, try to interfere, try to, say, put a stop and say, this can't be done, that you cannot do. So what happened? Look at, this is some real example, right? A couple of years ago, the launch of ICOs, cryptocurrency. I myself, I'm not a fan of the blockchain or cryptocurrency, but look what happened to the world. Countries that sort of are close one eyes, they know that there's risk, but they assess, the regulators, they assess those risks. They say, whether will they create greater harm to the economy, or maybe it gives way to creativity and innovation. So Singapore allows, Taiwan, China, Taiwan allows, America, of course, anything, is they just close one eyes. But what is Malaysia's approach? Do we allow the players to roll out first, or straight away say, hey, this is illegal, I'm going to blacklist you? So this is something, if we want to create a vibrant economy, regulators, I appeal to you, please also give them that kind of freedom. But of course, with some specific bottom lines. This is the no, the red area, the red line. Don't go across this line. So this is my my sharing.
All right. So there's another. I think we still have some time to take few questions. Going forward, post COVID-19, where do you think would be would the opportunities be for Malaysian lawyers who are interested in Chinese market? What kind of work do you foresee will arise for us to tap in? So Malaysian lawyers interested in China markets, and where do we go? What kind of work to tap in?
Okay, Dato. Allow me to share a little bit of my personal observation, after spending about 14 years in China. And I must say that Malaysian lawyers at large, in general, were actually quite capable. We're very well exposed to a lot of things. Since young, a lot of us, we were exposed to multiracial, sort of very harmonious surroundings, neighborhood. I believe everybody, got that kind of language gift. My neighbors, I'm a teacher, but I play with my neighbors. I speak Hokkien, Then I play with my Malay friends, Ahmad. Play with football with Mutu. So we have that kind of skills built in. It's in our DNA. So when we get out, as we grow, when we get out from Malaysia, some got the chance to pursue their tertiary education abroad. Then we get to see the world a little bit more. So we are, by and large, exposed to what's happening. Then come back, and now our mindset. First, I hate to say this, when I look at what our neighbors are doing, the neighboring countries are doing, they embrace talents. They focus on economy. They talk about their 5-10 years plan, things like that, and everything starts to show positive results. But unfortunately, we are still at an era. Every now and then, we're talking about power, politics, this and that. There's never ending to this. So start from us. I like what Martin say. Unless you're in the frontline politics, can you change? Can you change every day? You whack here, I whack you, you whack me. What good does it bring? So instead of whacking, we know what's happening. Every citizen will exercise their vote once every 5 years. But in between, let the politicians do their work. We do our work, the rakyat. And what is our work? Do not waste on anything else that is non-productive. Gather ourselves. I believe now we've got a very, very good advantage as Malaysian practitioners or Malaysian businesses as a whole. Look at what happened to a lot of you can already see since 2018 the U.S.-China trade war, and especially for political survival by American side. So I don't think they are going to have any soft landing post-COVID with China. So the fight is going to be escalated. And we also see what happened in European nations, European countries. There's a lot of distrust and mistrust. And as we talk about all these things, I think I saw a report, the Japanese, they depend the entire supply chain to manufacture their cars and depends very heavily on China. So as of 3-4 weeks ago, they already come out with a subsidy to encourage the Japan car manufacturer to explore, not to be overly dependent on China. So having said that, what are our chances? As Malaysian lawyer, please do not confine to your comfort zone by happily, doing your S&P. I know that is a money printing machine, S&P, but are you willing to learn a little bit more about regional practice? Regional practice as in not just aware of the Malaysian law, but get yourself connected. Just like this platform, right? The China ASEAN Legal Cooperation Center. What you guys are doing is very faceted, actually. I must give a big applaud to the leadership. So you are connecting the world. Be a global citizen, but global citizen is too big for the word. So how about regional? Start with regional first. Malaysia is our base. Work around neighborhood, and for all you know, people that know you, don't underestimate our role as a connector. With your exposure, Dato, in the past, I don't know how many, perhaps more than 100,000 people have known you in the past 2 weeks for your appearance everywhere. Facebook, you've got friends now from at least 100 over countries. And people say, okay, I like this young, talented, handsome-looking Dato Yong. They may not know what is Dato. Okay, so they contact you and say, hey, Dato, I tell you what, I'm from Mexico. And we've got this product, and we are looking for a place to set up manufacturing base because our eventual target is China. They may not want to go to China directly because of all these, sentiment for the time being. I say, do you think Malaysia, are you willing to, to explore this project investment? Whether you can find partners for that. But you say, oh, okay, we've got a migrant issue. We don't have enough laborers, and MIDA, may not be, we'll take a look. And with your connection, you can always play a very meaningful role to channel this to around our region. China already, implementing this. I think they are coming to ASEAN region in a very big way. This is our opportunity in the next 5 to 10 years. It just depends who is going to grab it, who is going to seize it, all across the board.
All right. Jennifer Ng said, thanks Dato Te and Will for in addressing my question. Very interesting insights. So we will take another, maybe one or two more questions. This is from Amanda Hill. Hi Will, you mentioned Malaysia and China law is very different from each other. Could you share a little on the differences between the two countries from the corporate law point of view? Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Amanda. So this is very obvious. Malaysia, we practice a common law system, stare decisis, follow case law, and then of course for any change in laws or regulations, it has to go through the process. You've got to first table a bill, and then you get read in Parliament, and you get passed or get rejected. So there is a period. So any good idea, any new idea, it will take a rather prolonged time. So this is in general, not just corporate law, but since you're asking about corporate law. Okay, how about China? Of course, it's different legal system. Civil law. If any audience, you have not have any sort of contact or sort of interaction with the Chinese law or Chinese business, usually there's one very big misconception. A lot of people will say, "Hey, China where got law?" Right? You hear a lot, especially businessmen, China, mana law. So this is a very big misconception. If China has no law, do you think it can maintain law and order governing 1.5 billion people? Do you think it's possible? So the difference is China, the legal making process is very, very, very 接地气. It connects with what's happening to the actual present situation. If today the law will never keep up with the innovation by the business circle. So what happened is in a few years ago there was a lot of P2P. I don't know whether you heard of a P2P, fundraising, this and that. And for investors, you get higher returns. So, of course, they allowed it to happen. But at the time, they did not expect it will lead to disastrous impact to the social and economy, the people, the normal investors at large. You cannot blame the Chinese regulator by saying that you should have prohibited, you should not have allowed them to cheat on the public's money from day one. But assuming you're a regulator, you may be thinking, how would I know this one will lead to this disastrous effect and consequences? So I still believe the Chinese regulators, on one hand, they say, I allow you to, I give you certain freedom for you to do things. Remember, whatever is not prohibited is deemed permitted. So I let you roll out, but when I suspect there's a bubble or some scam or whatever, I put a stop. And they can promulgate a law to put a stop immediately. Okay? And it takes effect overnight. So right now, Malaysia and China, if we want to learn something from China, you learn the good. You not to say you there are good people and bad people everywhere in the world is the same. You don't go into a country and say these are because so happened that you're a victim. But Dato Te, as a practitioner and with your group, CALCC, maybe you could also table something, on this level and see certain situation, how can the lawmaking process be expedited to tailor to only one particular need, that is economic growth. In order to drive economic growth, we need to have the kind of flexibility. Otherwise, you may not see the impact and the pace. You've got great entrepreneurs, you've got great startups, you've got great talented brains. I see from the website and my friends around me, bunch of talented people. But before they try to do something, you bound yourself. And a very good example is a Legal Profession Act. I don't know whether you have a sort of a more liberalized. That during my days, there were a lot of restrictions, a lot of limitations. Now I can say it, right? Because I believe when I was a young lawyer, I worked with a group of a bunch of young lawyers movement then. I believe some of them here. So we tried to lobby. I tried to lobby that kind of changes. And for your information, during my days, no one would want to learn from Chinese lawyers or Chinese law. To them, it's like, what is Chinese lawyers? But I tell you, friends, after 14 years there, each day, I felt that I'm getting smaller and smaller by comparison to my colleagues, my fellow partners, and the kind of the attitude, the eagerness to learn, the eagerness to innovate, even within the legal profession. I tell you, at first, before I joined them, I thought I can contribute something to them. As each day grew, I say, my goodness, not only that I've got nothing value add to contribute to them, but I'm feeling very, very small. So that's for me. So okay.
All right. We will take the last question for today. Also, building on from what you have said just now, the post-pandemic era will see China being sidelined and disconnected from the West, and there will be more regional dispute coming out. So, again, your discussion about, what kind of opportunities for Malaysian lawyers. This is a question by CY Ong.
Okay.
So what?
Dato.
Yeah.
CY Ong is a Dato Ong.
Oh, hi.
The previous deputy chief in China. Yeah. Okay, that's a very good question. So when things already happened and it comes to dispute resolution stage, it's a little bit too late, because during marriage time, before they enter into contract, they have already negotiated. If there is dispute, what kind of dispute resolution mechanism they are using? Arbitration in where? China, London, Singapore, Hong Kong. So for Malaysia, we used to have a not used to it's still existing, right? AIAC, ASEAN International. So right now the leadership at AIAC, they have to do their work. Even before dispute happens, they've got to go around the world and say that, what is the advantage of having the arbitration seat in Malaysia? Why they choose us? Let me share with you a very motivating news that I just saw in last week, when Mayin had a conversation with Bai Song via CCTV. China heard about a week ago. So he mentioned, for those that understand Chinese, you can go and search Bai Song 对话马云. So what is it? When the PPE stuff was needed at that time by our region, of course, at first is try to find from all out of all the world to try to get it imported to China. But then subsequently, 1 month later, it turned around. So Marine mentioned to Europe, where is the hub, the platform that he sent to? Where? Belgium. Through Belgium. But to Southeast Asia and the larger Asia, where did he send to? Malaysia. That is very, very motivating. Why he said Malaysia? This also, now you recall back, Malaysia was very slow in closing our borders when the pandemic happened. And I've got to applaud our leadership for having that kind of wisdom, you know. And this thing is not just this round. Alibaba, they are comprised of good, excellent, brilliant leaders, you know, in their organizations. Why they choose Malaysia to be the regional hub for logistics? There must be a reason. So it's up to you and me, the listeners. We've got to enhance on this point. Why? And then we share with the world why they choose us. So in order to, you know, to promote Malaysia in a way, you know, a lot of my deals is dealing with regional, you know, Chinese going global, going to be it Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, whatever. So I sort of handle their deals there, but I believe that, I genuinely believe that we've got an advantage, you know, Malaysia, but the way we promote is not sufficient, or maybe sometimes we try very hard to promote Malaysia as an investment hub, but because of what happened with the politicking, this and that, 我们走一步退两步，走一步退两步. So I know I've got some politician friends also listening now. Please do us a big favor, you know. Nowadays, whenever you attack, you know, this thing, not just we Malaysians know, the whole world will know immediately within the next couple of minutes. So if as an investor, everything that we come to us, we see about today A fight B lah, B fight C lah, C, you know, corruption lah, this lah. I tell you, what good does it make to make Malaysia the preferred destination, you know, for investment? So I appeal to you, I appeal to all my friends, be very cautious in whacking, you know, try to viral the politicians or whatever. You think it's a fun thing to do, right? I tell you, at the end of the day, it will bounce back and hit us. No economy, nobody wants to come here, no tourism, So is this the thing that you all want, you and I want? If not, we want to see Malaysia be good, we want to see Malaysia to grow. What can we do in a more positive approach, yeah, to help Malaysia and to help ourselves, to help our friends and family in Malaysia?
All right. Okay, so any concluding remarks from Ewan?
Thank you for hosting this CALCC, and also Bill, that's our guest speaker, sharing so much about not only the legal side but also the business side. I have really learned a lot today, and I hope that everyone can learn something during this COVID-19 lockdown, and moving forward, I believe we'll get better and be able to, you know, compete regionally. Thank you.
All right. I'd like to invite Will to make some concluding remarks for this session.
Thank you, Dato. Stay positive, stay safe, and open our mindset. Don't just look in Malaysian market. We can be a very effective regional player for all the lawyers in Malaysia. Thank you.
I think that's an excellent summary on all this because looking at this COVID-19, a lot of people think very negatively on this, but like what Will say, stay positive and we can be a regional player. I think that's very true. I think he's is an excellent example of the Malaysian lawyers who took the risk. A lot of people that at the time, I remember, 14 years ago, nobody would think of stepping into the China and practice as a lawyer. I think he took the step, and today I think he's doing very well in Beijing. I've heard so much of him about Will. So I think this is an excellent story to share with a lot of lawyers. And again, for the viewers who stay with us from beginning until now, today's session is the longer session because I noticed that both Will and Paven have a lot of fans and lots of questions and a lot of comments, lots of interaction. So that is something is very good. And I think I've decided to extend the time a little bit to take as many questions as we could. However, I think at a certain point, we still have to wrap up the session. Otherwise, this one will go on until midnight. Okay, for those who are viewing with us, thank you so much. This is a series of the long discussion on the COVID-19 impact on the community as well as to the country and to be specific on the legal industry. Tomorrow, we have another two interesting sessions. One with our friends from Laos at 11 a.m. and the afternoon session will be 2 p.m. with our friends from Indonesia. So we are bringing you live with a lot of our friends from this platform, the China ASEAN Legal Cooperation Center, the CALCC in short. So again, I would like to thank Will for accepting our invitation. I've heard so much about you, and I'm so honored to be hosting you here. And to Paven, thank you so much for coming on with us to share from the young lawyer's perspective. I think you give us a fresh insight about how the young lawyers want to practice moving forward. And I'm sure this we all learn and we'll change and adapt ourselves from this COVID-19 situation. All right, so that wraps up for the session today. Thank you again to everybody, to the speakers and to the viewers online. Have a good night and stay safe and stay strong, I think. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.